So I'd love to start with your background, your life story. Did you always know that you wanted to be a pediatrician and have your own multidisciplinary state-of-the-art clinic?
Pediatrician, yes. The latter, no. So I was 3 when I told my parents I wanted to be a doctor. And when I was 4, I told them I wanted to be a kid's doctor. And that's actually always what I wanted. That was my only real career aspiration growing up. I never wanted to, be a ballerina or drive a fire truck. Like I didn't have those kind of normal kid hopes and dreams. I wanted to be a pediatrician. And I was very entrepreneurial as a kid. And I made a lot of things, bracelets, I made a poem book with a friend, and I sold these things to my friends and my parents' friends when I was very young. So I was always entrepreneurial, but I didn't really have a vision for having a place like Kidcrew or some of the other businesses that I've launched and I'm launching until later in life when I realized I had that drive in that entrepreneurial business kind of way.
And what do you think inspired you to choose to be a pediatrician so early on?
I don't really know, to be honest. My parents are not physicians. I didn't have any real role models in my life close to home that were doctors. I just really liked I really liked science even from a young age. And I really liked the idea of helping other kids. I didn't even have a pediatrician growing up. I had a family doctor. So I don't even know where it came from or where that idea came from, but that was always my dream. And it was pretty amazing to go all through all these cycles and get to that point.
And in terms of that entrepreneurial spirit, so you've had it for a long time, obviously you started young. And then when did you realize after finishing your medical school, becoming a doctor, that now you had to bring it back into your life?
I think I always liked the idea of business. I always liked the idea of building something from scratch. And after I worked for a couple of years for another person who ran another clinic, seeing some things that I would imagine doing differently, having, a really fun play space for kids to play, having it not really traditional kind of medical clinic, but have it be really efficient, have it multidisciplinary and lots of things under one roof, and having kids come and have fun and parents be relaxed. That's really the model that I envisioned as a mom myself. And then as a clinician, I thought it would be so much easier for me as a doctor to have access to these various experts all around me, and how fun that would be and how great and collaborative that would be, and also how great it would be for patients. So that's how I envisioned bringing together all these different people, almost like a hospital, but outside of the hospital and outside of the bureaucracy of a hospital as well. Right. And that's how Kidcrew came to be.
And how easy or hard was it to build this business, to build your clinic? What did you know about business when you first started off your journey?
I did not know anything about business, really. I think just my intuition. I did science in undergrad. I was always very in pursuit of medicine. So I did 3 years in undergrad at University of Toronto, and I was lucky enough to get into McMaster Medical School after my 3rd year of undergrad. So I didn't actually graduate with an undergrad degree, and I took nothing that wasn't science related. I never took any business classes. I didn't take finance, economics, anything like that, statistics even. And then after medical school, I went into pediatrics, and then I did a pediatric emergency medicine fellowship. And from there, I started working. So I don't have any formal business training at all. And I just kind of learned things as I went. It's been really a fun journey. I've enjoyed learning all the various pieces of it and doing most of it on my own. I didn't have any really advisors, or I still don't have a big team. We have, a team of administrators in the office, but myself and my husband still do all the finances, all the ordering, all the, invoices for associates. We still do all that stuff. We hold that close to our chest so that we can really manage it in a way that makes the most financial sense and the most really emotional sense for us as business people.
Do you think you'd ever give up seeing patients, like doing the clinical work?
I really enjoy my interaction with families. So I've toyed with the idea of cutting back on it, or as other businesses grow and they require more of my time, I'll scale down that and scale up other things. But I don't imagine myself stepping away from clinical practice. I really enjoy interacting with families. I love teaching people. I love educating people. It's a lot of what I do for a living, not just within Kidcrew, but my website, drdina.ca, and on Kidcrew we have a blog. I'm in the media and social media. I really like educating people. And so I educate kind of the masses in that way. But I really enjoy the interpersonal relationships I form with families. So maybe I'll cut back at some point, but for the time being, I'm still working 5 days a week in the office.
You provide such valuable content on your blog, your social media, and you were one of those pioneers because in the medical field, we don't see a lot of doctors or health leaders putting out this information. So what got you started? And do you think there's a space for other health practitioners, other health leaders to do the same?
Absolutely. I mean, for sure, there's definitely lots of space there. I think people, parents in particular, are needy they're thirsty for knowledge, and it can be difficult to access your physician or other allied health provider, especially now when people want to stay safe and they want to stay home. They want access to things that are convenient, but there's so much garbage online. There's so much nonsense and so much pseudoscience. We're seeing this more and more and more. When I was in residency and med school and fellowship, I did a lot of research, a lot of clinical scientific research, and I still do quite a bit of research as well. And when I would publish a new scientific study, it was amazing. I felt great about it. But I also would think, how many people are seeing this one study? This took years to do, so many hours of my time, so much work. And it's this like rat race of like submitting it and revamping it and resubmitting. It's just a lot. It's a game. And it didn't bring me so much joy after, doing this for a few years. And I thought, well, why am I doing this research? I'm doing this research to learn something and then tell people about it, to educate them. So then I thought, well, why can't I just do that with what I already know? You don't necessarily know it. Other parents don't necessarily know it. It may not be new, but it's new to you. And so that's why I started drdina.ca when my third kid was born, basically around 6 years ago. And I just started putting out content. Parents asked me about croup, so I wrote about croup. People asked me about roseola. I wrote about roseola, toilet training, how to diaper your child, all these things. What people asked me about, I wrote about. And I brought in about 30 different other healthcare practitioners to also write articles on various topics. And that's how I started with that. And that just kind of snowballed into more social media and now much more media as well to disseminate more information to more people.
So when you first started, it was more of a hobby actually?
Very much so. I mean, there was certainly there still is no financial incentive to do it. I've never monetized my website. It's completely free for the public. And it's just education, but it's education that is evidence-based and scientific and not nonsense.
And looking back at your career journey, would you have done anything differently at all?
No, not really. I mean, the one and only thing that I loved about my last maternity leave that I wish I had done previous, but didn't have the opportunity to, so I have 4 children. My eldest just turned 10. With him, I was about to do my residency, my pediatric exam. So I delivered him, and 4 months later, I did my pediatric board exam. So the whole first 4 months of his life, I was studying, and then I went back to work because those are some of the restrictions within residency. If I wanted to write my exam that year, I needed to go back. Then I had my next child 21 months later, and I took 3 months off and I did my pediatric emergency medicine exam that year. And so again, it was like not really real maternity leave. And then I did my exams, but I wanted to get them over with. I was looking forward to putting those behind me. And then another child about 2 years later, and I was working already, but I only took 3 months off. My plan had been to take longer, and I didn't. I actually ended up going back part-time at 6 weeks of life. And I left him at home because I didn't have another option at that time. And I was still exclusively breastfeeding all these children too. So pumping in the hospital, and it was very much a challenge. With my last baby, who's 3 now, I was working at Kidcrew. And so my Kidcrew office became his nursery. So I went back to work at 2 weeks of age, but he was welcome in my office for the first 21 months. He came with me every day, and he slept in my office, and he had his own little nursery there. And I went back and forth and breastfed him. And it was the most amazing experience. I was able to work, which I love to do and I wanted to do, but I was able to be also a full-time mom, which I also wanted to do. And if I could do it all over, I would find out some kind of way to make that work, though I was training for my first 2 kids. But that is the only thing that, given the craziness of the last 10 years, that's the only thing really, to have spent more time on mat leave. But it wouldn't have brought me as much joy to be fully out of work. And I didn't want to delay my training. But yeah, the last one was perfect. I mean, I have to say I've been really lucky. Things have really worked out okay. I mean, with lots of hard work and luck. And, I was born into a loving family. I had 2 amazing parents that are in good health, and I have 3 healthy, amazing, loving brothers. And so I grew up in a very lucky situation My parents very much valued education and supported me in whatever I wanted to do. And I had lots of opportunity to explore things, whether that's, extracurriculars or just to be outside. My parents very much fostered independence, which I do for my own family as well. I think that's very, very valuable. And so I really had the freedom to learn and play and experiment, and things worked out in a way that they have. I have thankfully, gratefully not had really failures per se. I mean, certainly like I didn't ace every test and I didn't have perfect relationships, and things happen in your life, of course, but I just kept pushing for where I wanted to be, and it worked out okay.